final and the women's floor final. And then it's the men's high bar to cap everything off at the end of the day. We saw great drama at the end of the all-around competition in the men's high bar. But of course, before we even get there, that women's floor final will draw a lot of attention because it is seen as one of the glamour events. And speaking of the ladies, let's get things started. In the women's final on the beam, Victoria Wu of Canada.
I believe one of the best qualities that Victoria has is her consistency. She's been in this position many times for her own Canadian team as the lead-off balance beam worker. She has much experience right now in this position. So of course the judges are looking for a nice flow from acrobatic skills into their choreography. There's a beautiful display of an aerial cartwheel. It looks simple, but when you're changing direction like that on 4 inches of balance beam, not so much. She has just a lovely presence on the beam. Beautiful hand movements. She's paid attention to her choreography, and that is a super difficult skill. A double turn. She'll get some bonus points for that, but a little bit of a wobble at the end.
4th all around of the national championship, which included good work on the beam.
She is focusing very well on this apparatus. As you mentioned, she qualified 8th. She'll be extremely pleased with that exercise in the event finals.
Victoria Wu of Canada qualifying 8th of the 8 in this final, or for this final, turning in a 13.5 to get here.
And here's a look at the combination acrobatic skills that we're very used to seeing. But look at this spin. 2 times around on 1 foot. You can see her save with the 2nd foot when it landed on the beam, and her dismount, 2.5 twists, a step over to the side. That's okay. She's thrilled to have successfully mastered her routine.
Outstanding work there from Victoria Wu of Canada. Pushing herself to her limits, turning in a strong performance. Let's get things started on the vault. Arthur Nori Mariano. Mariano 3rd to qualify for this in 14.9.
Oh dear, that was a very rough landing.
Not happy.
No.
Almost poking fun at himself. 5th in the floor final, part of that Brazilian team that earned the silver medal.
Well, a powerful vaulter. Oh gosh, that was a very scary landing actually. He just missed cue on that position there. It was like the knees were going one way and the feet. He's a very lucky man. An elegant gymnast, I have to say. Part of his beauty is his form, his elegance, his execution. He's not going to like how that felt, though.
And he showed us that with his reaction afterwards. Remember, vault, you take 2 vaults, they take the average score. A chance at tidying things up here for Arthur Mariano.
And that's how these men qualified for this day of competition. There's that D score. That's the value of what he did. But look at the E score, 9.2. That's where he picks up those valuable tenths. Execution.
Got punished in the penalty. So a little shy of his qualifying 14.9. But that's just the first one for Mariano.
So now, of course, for men's vault, just like the women, they must perform a different 2nd vault. Here it is. Rough landings. Can't imagine how those legs are feeling right at this point, but nice to see him walk away. He's okay.
Okay, but disappointed. You can see it clearly there.
There's that Yurchenko vault with a forward direction turn. We'll take a look right here. He does his round off, turns half. And, you know, just didn't have enough amplitude. There wasn't enough push off the horse to complete the revolutions that he needed on this particular vault. Of course, that's a fall, a full point.
Was there something consistent for you in terms of what was missing in both the 1st and 2nd vault?
Well, he clearly had difficulty on the landing in the first vault, and that was the blind landing. Not sure about the second.
13.65 for Victoria Wu of Canada to start things off in the beam final. And we continue in the beam final with Megan Skaggs of the United States, part of that U.S. team that claimed gold in the team competition. She came in with 14.05 to earn her spot here, 5th in the qualifying.
Take a look at this mount here, very difficult on 1 foot, a double spin, 2.5. That was named after an American great gymnast named Taryn Humphrey. The U.S. women have a program that is unlike any other in the world, and they have developed that over time, I'd say in the last 15 years. These women come together often so that they can train with one another and know exactly where they stand on this national team. These are routines. Oops, a little bit of a wobble there. That could be upwards of 3/10 of a deduction. I was going to say in this gym in Texas, they are all together along with their coaches, judges. They simulate these competitions every month, depending on the type of competitions that they're planning to travel to. They must show readiness, is what they call it. Pack and pray. They bring their bags, and they're not sure if they'll be on that airplane or not. There's her dismount, double pike to end. Beautiful ending to her routine. She had one significant oops on one of the acrobatic skills.
Well, Megan Skaggs, the United States, packed for good reason, got herself on the plane here and was part of that team gold and did some impressive things on that beam performance here in the final.
Gosh, I loved the fact that she took some risk and showed us some originality on that routine. And this element right here, the shoulders dipped way down, it's not just a 10th. It has to be significantly more than that. But she ends well with her double pike dismount. We'll be seeing a few more of those.
You can hear a little bit of the conversation there going on. Sounded like a lot of encouragement and support. Big picture story there. And how about the big picture here for Arthur Mariano? 14.087, the average for Mariano to get it going in the vault competition. He's followed by his countryman, Caio Sosa. And this is the man who qualified first for this event, 15.225.
He's just a little bit intense, isn't he? You remember in the all-around competition, boy, he was just on his game there. First vault, very well done, but look at that large leap forward.
I think the coach noticed, yeah.
Calm down.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
A little extra energy.
So there's that round-off entry called the Yurchenko vault with 2.5 twists. You know, when you're landing forward, such as some we're seeing from some of these men, your timing just has to be impeccable. You have to know right about here, okay, open. And he held on to the vault a little bit too late, which forced that huge, huge step. But this part, excellent. Nothing wrong there. Gorgeous.
Just needs to open a little earlier.
Right. And there are so many great vaulters in the event finals that could make the difference when it's all said and done.
Well, remember there is a second attempt as well. 14.725 for Sosa to get it started. This one's going to make a big difference to his total.
Well, and this one could make a significant difference because it's just a little bit harder. That at least is the plan. That is what he performed in the team competition. I think he's going to go for it. You can see that little extra prep. Green light's on. Beautifully done.
Caio Sosa of Brazil. A little happier with that second one.
He should be.
And relieved. He doesn't have to maintain that intensity continuously like he did the other day. Boy, he really worked.
Beautiful vaulter. You can see he did take that one slight step over into that red zone. Lots of twisting. That's the type of vaulter that he is. We're going to see these types of vaults as well as the flipping type vaults. So it just depends on your style. It depends on your strength.
Sosa was fourth in the all-around final. Really got the most out of himself there. There's Megan Skaggs awaiting a score after getting her effort in on the beam, and it ends up 14.05. 14.05 for Skaggs, who was penalized as we anticipated she would be.
And it was the exact same score in the first day of competition for the young lady.
Now, Flavia Saraiva of Brazil, first in the qualifying, 14.55. And she's ready to capture hearts once again. People here have really taken to this young lady. You hear them talking about her in the walkabout areas in the venue. You hear them talking about her waiting for the streetcars. She is just one of those athletes that people love to watch and love to root for.
And if they're in the arena seeing her for the first time, they're going to just see how high that beam is off the floor. Because look at her. She's just, you know,
yeah, that beam is just over 4 feet.
High.
And when you get the shot of her standing next to the beam, you'll see a little more accurately what we say diminutive actually looks like.
Now, there are other performers in the finals that actually have more difficulty. It will be hard to point out, but there are some of the skills that I will point out. However, what makes her exceptional is the maturity that she has already at such a young age, her flow, and I have to say, some of these acrobatic skills, she does almost everything. Check this out. Haven't seen her do that yet in competition or practice. That was the first sign of nervousness.
Had a long talk with her coach during the warm-up.
Oh.
And disappointment there for Saraiva. Now we'll see a little bit more as to her maturity, because this is a big challenge for a young athlete, bouncing back.
Big challenge, 3 days of competition. It's been long, it's been tiring, perhaps more so for her. She has not really experienced this before. Beautiful display of flexibility in that switch leg leap. She just has, you know, an exactness about her. She's been so well trained on beam. There, taking a little extra hop. It's risky to lose sight of the beam. She doesn't have to, but she does. She's trying to set herself apart. Well, that was solid. Beautifully done.
Doesn't get more solid.
You can hear that warning bell. She needs to work quickly, which probably isn't a good thing at this point. Feeling the nerves. Dismount, double pike. Well, we certainly didn't see the best of little Flavia.
Flavia Saraiva of Brazil, learning on the job, and her coach there with some calming words and some encouragement. There's a lot going on for everybody at this level, in particular such a young person.
And a lot going on in that tumbling skill that she did. 3 elements that were connected in a row. I watched her in practice. She didn't even get that left foot on the beam, and she was having trouble earlier in the practice warm-up prior to the competition. Normally she would stick that cold, just not herself today.
It's a process. She may have it down by her 16th birthday in September. Caio Sousa of Brazil, better in the second one, 14.925 overall. Sousa jumping ahead of his countryman, Arthur Mariano. They're the first 2 to go. Brings us to the American, Paul Ruggieri, qualified in 6th spot, 14.8. This guy's had success here, of course, part of the gold medal winning U.S. team. He's a NCAA champ from a couple of years back. Paul Ruggieri, vault 1.
Oh, that was a nice looking vault. I think he may have gone out of bounds. You know, in looking in his scores from the first day of competition, the team event, Paul actually took a hit for penalties, not just on one vault, but both of his vaults. And I was going to say, if he could control these landings, if he could make those just a little bit cleaner, he has a chance. He was a little bit off to the left on our screen, the right for him on the table. Just forced him off to the side.
It's almost like, you know, When somebody says don't think of X, the first thing you think of is X, and that's
yeah.
what's going on right
Yeah.
now for Paul Ruggieri. Paul, don't step out. Well, there it is. He's got one more try, and he's got the ability to put up a good number, 14.725 on the first attempt from Paul Ruggieri. He's getting ready for his second vault now. Remember, it is the average of the two that puts you where you will sit in the standings.
So this vault is a little bit easier for him. It does not have the same degree of difficulty as his first vault. Needs to have a good landing here. And
there
it
you
was.
go.
Yep.
Paul Ruggieri of the United States staying in the right spot on the mat. A smile as a result. And a little bit of relief, I think.
That's how he feels. So more twisting action from Paul.
Oh,
and yes,
there was a step.
You know what? It's so hard to see from our vantage point. I actually thought that the deduction would come in the hop, but he's going to get both.
So hard luck for Ruggieri.
This is that Yurchenko-style vault where he does a back flip onto the horse, 2.5 twists, a lot happening in the air. Of course, all he has to think about is, got to put my feet down. He's a better vaulter than this.
Yes. And that's what he's thinking about. But we'll see where the score sends him. Here's Flavia Saraiva of Brazil, 13.225 for her chance to work in the beam final. So the youngster, not at her very best today. Another Brazilian athlete set to go on beam. Julie Kim Cinemon, qualified 6th, 13.75. She was third on the beam at last year's Pan Am Championship.
So we talk about some of the top balance beam workers in the world. The scores we're seeing thus far in the 14s, some in the 15s, and there are actually women who are capable of going much, much higher towards the 16 range. So it gives you an idea of what's being performed on the world stage. Julie was actually a replacement on the Brazilian team for their top athlete, who is back home in Brazil trying to recover from a terrible injury that may not have her recover in time for the World Championships, let alone the Rio Games. I know that they were very concerned about that. Going through the motions, I would say, of her beam routine, not putting too much into it. She's just looking to have a safe, good quality exercise. She'll be pleased. Not one of the highest degrees of difficulty. We're still going to see those beam sets. They're coming. Here's
Julie Kim Cinemon of Brazil.
And that was her attempt of a combination skill and acrobatic skill, showing off her flexibility, her combination of leaps.
The fourth of 8 competitors in the beam final.
And then the dismount, round off, double pike. We've already seen that performed in today's competition. Very popular element.
Paul Ruggieri of the United States awarded a 14.70 for the second vault, so that'll end his competition with 14.712. 14.712 for Paul Ruggieri of the United States. That's second behind Caio Sousa of Brazil. 3 competitors in on the vault. We hit the midway mark with that gentleman, Alberto Leiva of Cuba.
Very powerful vaulter. He could do something special here. Oh,
my goodness.
And he was trying to do something really exciting.
Leiva with all kinds of speed, all kinds of amplitude, and just couldn't find his feet.
I watched him warm this up. It's called a Dragulescu, performed by a very famous Romanian male gymnast. Not an easy vault. Double front with a half twist. Oh gosh, he was not close. Just needed so much more power off those hands to launch himself in the air, and he didn't have it. I think he knew, he felt it.
Very athletic to get his hands out and to try and protect himself as he came down awkwardly. That could have been much worse for Alberto Leyva. You see the penalty there, so it leaves him 13-4-7-5.
And look at that D score, 6.0. That was the value of that vault had he done it even near, to his feet. 16 would have been the highest he could have scored.
Crowd rooting for him, trying to give him a boost here to get this second one in well.
Not as difficult for the second vault. Typically, the men will perform the most difficult one first. Clearly disappointed with his efforts here, but hey, you're in the Pan American Games finals on vault with good company.
Now think about the courage it takes and the mental strength it takes to walk right back down to the end of that runway and go like nothing happened after what happened on his first attempt.
Well, you have to leave it behind. As easy as I can make that sound, it's very difficult for them to do, but each and every vault you must focus. This is a totally different vault. He has to think of different techniques in his mind or what his coach has been telling him to do, but I think he's happy to be on his feet.
So Alberto Leyva of Cuba, who qualified in the 5th spot, is the 4th to go here in the men's vault final. We'll get you a score in a moment. There's Julie Kim Cinemon's score, 13-5-7-5. That puts her in the 3rd position so far. Halfway through the beam final here at Toronto Coliseum. And there is confirmation of that. See the athletes still to come, including Ellie Black of Canada just around the corner. Ellie has a complete set of medals already. How about that? A gold medal, a silver medal, and a bronze medal. And there she is, trying to add to that collection.
Well, and one of the most important stats for Ellie Black is that she's a beam finalist from last year's World Championships. She was 7th, so where that comes into play is we know she's one of the exceptional athletes here. She can win. She just has to do her routine.
Won the Commonwealth Games beam final last year.
Beautiful display of turns, looking very confident, but here's one of her tests. Solid. Now, she'll break us in gently with this combination. Back handspring to a layout. Okay, so the one that's coming up now is one of the most difficult acrobatic skills that women are performing on balance beam. It's a full twist. Here we go. Oh my goodness.
There it is, Ellie Black.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Reputation for rising to the moment. Some wondering if she was tired today, maybe sore. So far, so good.
Solid again. Judges like to see that. No movement with the upper body or the feet. Just her dismount. It's a tricky one. 2.5 twist. That's the beam routine to beat.
Ellie Black of Canada. 3 medals already. Looks like one more on the way. Boy, what a gamer, as you hear in other sports.
Absolutely. She has the highest start value in this women's competition. That should be a gold medal. It just doesn't get better than this. That full twisting element that she did, there's just no room for error. And her dismount, 2.5 twists, you have to know exactly where you are in the air to land forward like she did. No problem.
And when you're an experienced competitor like Ellie Black is already at this stage of her career, you know if you've done a good job or if it's a little off. Judging by her body language, she feels pretty good. 13.925 the average for Alberto Leyva of Cuba, who had a bit of a scare on his first vault and looks a little bit disappointed with the way things went today. There's where we are, halfway through the men's vault final. Sousa of Brazil in the top spot.
Our next competitor on vault representing the United States of America.
And they get a challenge from this man, Donnell Wittenberg of the United States. Silver on the floor and rings already, part of that team that won gold.
This will be a big vault. Needs a lot of power. Wow. Now that's how you do the Dragulescu vault. Doesn't matter if he stepped out. It's a huge vault. That has a value of 6.0. Super height. He's going to be very happy with his efforts today. He wasn't on day one. That is how this vault needs to be performed. You just need to do everything in your power to get up high in order to complete 2 rotations with a half turn.
Well, when you see Donnell Wittenberg in this building warming up before the competition, and he's making his way around, getting loose and getting ready, you see an imposing, powerful figure.
For sure.
And if Donnell Wittenberg can't generate the power, there's a problem. 15.075 for Donnell Wittenberg. That's the first one. How about the second one?
So this is his second vault. It is a little bit easier from his first vault. But he's right now thinking, be clean, land on your feet, try to stay somewhere in that middle.
Neat and tidy should put him at the top.
He'll have a medal.
Donnell Wittenberg, USA. That first score is as good as we've seen.
Super job.
How will it average out for Donnell?
That one stayed in bounds. Just, having a fantastic day on this exercise. A lot of twisting going on in the air. He knew exactly where he was. Doesn't show the emotion like we saw from the other day. That was kind of fun when he let it go. He'll smile once he sees the score, I'm sure. Very exact in his feet placement. Good day.
Donnell Wittenberg of the United States. Good day, good meet for him. Great competition. He's really impressed. On the balance beam, if you're wondering about Ellie Black and that excellent performance we saw moments ago, there it is. 15.05 for Ellie Black of Canada. None better so far. They have done 5 routines. There are 3 more to go. And Ellie Black of Canada is in the gold medal position. That's got the building buzzing. Now here's a very experienced competitor set to go. Jessica Lopez of Venezuela. Silver on the uneven bars. Won the World Cup points race last year.
Well, this is where Jessica has to rely on that training that she had previously coming into the Pan American Games. She didn't do a lot of that here in Toronto. Only performed on 2 apparatus, which she made event finals on both, the uneven bars and here on the balance beam. Her degree of difficulty is not up there like Ellie Black, but this should be a beautiful classic performance. Nicely done. That's experience. She just has done thousands of those skills. She has such a large fan base around the world, and that's because she competes all over the world. She does these World Cup circuits. People know her. People write about her, and they love the fact that here's this woman, age 29, competing with some of the younger generations.
She is a pro.
Oh, and that's where you wish you had a few more balance beam training sets in your back pocket coming to this event.
Just not quite as instinctive when you don't have the repetitions. A lot of competition, not a lot of practice time.
Setting up just for the dismount. She will have a deduction, meaning she went over time. She got a little lost in the air on her dismount. Didn't quite know where she was.
So not what we're used to from Jessica Lopez of Venezuela. 13.4 was her qualifying score.
This was beautiful. Right on. Perfectly aligned with that balance beam. Her choreography, it's always lovely. She shows great flexibility. Just couldn't manage to stay on. And then here, just a little bit of a rough landing. Didn't know if she was trying a 2.5 twist, a triple twist. She didn't know herself. She's better than that.
All right, here's the story for Donnell Wittenberg over on vault. 14.85 on the second, 14.962 for the leader from the United States.
962 puts him at the top of the leaderboard.
Up next, it is Jorge Vega, who is a poised, mature young man, and not quite as young as he used to be.
No, he is 20 today. I was starting the birthday celebrations a little too early. There was miscommunication, we'll just say.
No problem.
Well, he is riding high after that gold medal performance on floor. I think that was a step out. You could see there's no smile there. He's not happy with it.
He knows it's a fine line between a decent competition and winning a medal, and 14.75 coming in. He wanted to be right on, and that was just a misstep.
Landings have been just so difficult for these men on both vaulting exercise and the floor. Jorge has big dreams, though. He wants to go to the 2016 Olympic Games, and where he might get his chance is on this apparatus, the vault, or the floor exercise. But he has to do extremely well at the upcoming World Championships.
14.8 for Jorge Vega. That's the first one.
So his second vault, it has equal value. Again, it will come down to a solid landing.
So he has to rehearse, get himself in the right mindset. Completely different vault here for number 2.
But the light is green. He needs to get going.
And the light is green.
Wow.
Jorge Vega of Guatemala. And he knows that just not quite what he was looking for today. And a little swat for the apparatus.
Swat for the apparatus.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Yeah, lots of twisting going on. He's very quick.
He may not have a team here, but he's
tiny
partners with that apparatus.
Yeah, and he has to be. He has to love vault if he wants to get to the Olympic Games.
You can tell. He knows.
But he gets up there, doesn't he?
There's no lack of try, no lack of care with this young man.
One of the hardest working athletes on the World Cup circuit.
Silver at the Pan Am Championship on the vault last year.
Now remember, this is the final. Both scores are average.
There's Jessica Lopez and her score, 12.775.
Balance beam, 12.775.
So 6 competitors down, 2 remaining in the balance beam. Ellie Black of Canada on top, Victoria Wu of Canada in the 3rd position, with the American Megan Skaggs poised for a silver medal. But as mentioned, 2 more competitors to go, including this woman, Ana Gomez of Guatemala. Gold on the beam at the Pan Am Championship last year. And she has all kinds of experience, great repertoire of skills. She's one to watch for sure.
She had greater expectations in the all-around competition, wasn't very happy with her performance there. Things kind of fell apart on the uneven bars, but she does shine here on balance beam. Check out this skill. Beautifully done, just like what we saw from Ellie Black. So exact. Very important for the athletes to combine skills like we just saw from there, an aerial cartwheel into a leap. If there's any hesitation, judges will take little deductions here and there. She's definitely back to what she is capable of doing.
She looks very comfortable today. If you're watching at home, you see the toes. Those toes are working.
Yeah.
That's something you may not pick up on if you haven't become very familiar with the competition.
You realize how important your feet are and the strength that they have for you on balance beam. Here her setup for her dismount. Oh dear, oh dear.
Goodness.
She missed a foot on that second back handspring.
She did well just to remain upright.
Oh my goodness, right down to the bitter end, that very last skill.
She's experienced enough to know where she needed to be, and she was trying to finish it off just right.
Well, I'm just glad that she stopped when she did. This was the highlight. Only 3 women in the competition that were performing those skills, and you talked about the gripping. Look at those feet, just digging into that balance beam. But this was a little bit scary, and I'm so happy she just stopped and jumped off and decided not to finish.
She was seconds away from putting up a number that might have got her onto the podium.
Yeah, absolutely would have gotten her on the podium.
Jorge Vega of Guatemala ends up with 14.775, not what he was hoping for on his birthday, but he is in the 3rd position. At this stage, 2 competitors to go. One of them anticipated to be a medal contender in Manrique Lardouet of Cuba. 2 vaults. They take the average, put it up against the rest of the field. 8 competitors in these event finals. And this is the 7th of the 8 in the men's final. Qualified in the 2nd position. 14.95 the average in qualifying for Lardouet of Cuba.
Very low landing. I was going to say this young man could make it very interesting being so late in the warm-up, in the lineup, I should say. Just not the type of landing that we've been seeing from him throughout these competitions. Almost brushed his knees. He had some of the highest degrees of difficulty to qualify into this competition. 6.0 for the first vault, 6 for the second, but that is significant.
So Lardouet awaiting a score. He gets a score. It's a 15.2.
That's a great score.
15.2, very good. Haven't seen anybody in the 15s thus far on the vault.
That execution score was a 9.2. That was very good.
Very high.
Very interesting.
Lardouet with a silver in the all-around competition, bronze in the rings. Silver, bronze. Wonder if he could complete his set of medals.
He is looking for gold. He's hungry for gold.
Manrique Lardouet of Cuba.
Oh my goodness, that was gorgeous.
Way up there. Will it be what he needs?
Unbelievable vault.
To earn his first gold medal. And this man has really had a gold medal competition. Just a matter of whether he gets one of those gold medals to take home with him.
Front entry vault. Look at the twisting action. A lot happening in the air. Takes a large step, but again, he has high difficulty, and the judges are rewarding this.
Look at the speed, the power off the apparatus.
The highest from any of the men in this competition.
Coach liked it, mostly, judging by his facial expression. What is it going to add up to? We'll get you a score in just a moment. Ana Gomez trying to deal with the frustration of the way she finished off a mostly solid routine. With the bobble near the end. 12.325. 12.325 for Ana Gomez. All right. Final competitor on the balance beam. Rachel Gowie of the United States. 2 gold medals. Uneven bars, and of course in the team. Taking a run at the podium again today.
Nice to come into your event finals knowing you already have a couple of shiny gold medals in your pocket.
She was 2nd in the qualifying, 14.5.
Oh dear. Getting the best of her today.
Crowd encouraging her. Trying to help her to finish this up in a positive way.
Well, and that's very important, as you mentioned, Mitch. This happens so early in the competition. She still has a lot of beam work to complete.
I just love the mental toughness of these athletes. Falling off, taking a couple deep breaths, right back at it.
A second fall. This is devastating for her. They train and know how to prepare for these moments, of course. The coaches in the gyms if there's a fall, they make you continue. You are prepared to work this way, but you don't want it to fall into place this way.
And you can't quite replicate this stage in practice.
Sometimes those full turns can be kind of scary at these moments.
Warning tone for Rachel Gowie.
So she's setting up, and I think she's just going to take her time, make sure, and that is the warning that she'll be over time. You know, the concentration just wasn't there today. For whatever reason, it wasn't her time to shine on beam today.
Have to take a few things from this for the experience files, and she'll be better for it in the future. I know she'll be disappointed today, though.
Yeah, just a little bit off, right? You can just see it. It's such a perfect view, you know, to just get a look at how difficult it is to keep the shoulders and the hips in line with balance beam.
It's 4 inches wide. If you're 2 inches off,
that's it.
Doesn't seem like much, but it's a big issue for these competitors. And there's the disappointment. When you're a really impressive performer and you're ready for a gold medal, it's tough. This, though, not tough. 15-1-2-5 from Enrique Larduet of Cuba. That is a sensational total. It is the best of the day by some distance, and he may just be in line to add a gold medal to his collection so far. The final competitor in the men's vault, Scott Morgan of the host nation, 7th in qualifying, 14.775.
And so desperately wants to give the audience something to cheer about. Going for the stick. You could see he was going for a stick. He wanted to wow them.
Really wanted to get those feet down and stay in position. A little bit of wandering.
Very powerful athlete, giving it all that he has. He shines on vaulting, of course, and floor exercise. Happy to be in these event finals today.
Won the vault gold medal at the Commonwealth Games last year.
His difficulty isn't the same as what we just saw from Manrique, but what he wants to try to do is obviously go for a perfect landing. Being up last on vault, you have all kinds of opportunities. You know exactly where things stand.
14.325 for Morgan of Canada.
14.325. This is the final vault.
Okay, so he has one vault left, and it is in the same difficulty range. He had some trouble going out of bounds in the first day of competition. He has to keep it in line. Oh yeah, he'll be happy with that vault too.
Nice way to finish for Scott Morgan of Canada. And those are your 8 competitors in the men's vault final. It will be a gold medal for the Cuban Manrique Larduet.
What a nice moment for Scott to be back up on the podium after the team competition. I know he was disappointed with some of his performances, namely floor exercise and not making it into those event finals that he so hoped for. But here he is doing everything in his power to get himself up on the podium.
Scott Morgan soaking up the moment. What a privilege, what an opportunity to compete on home soil. He knows that. Taking it all in. It ends up at 14.575 for Morgan, puts him in the 6th position. So, what does it all mean in the end? Well, so far, we can tell you unofficially, Manrique Larduet of Cuba, the gold medalist, Donnell Wittenberg of the United States, the silver medalist, and Caio Sousa of Brazil in the 3rd position. As for Rachel Gowie of the United States, the final competitor on the beam final, 11.625. After a difficult day at the office, gold medal for Canada's Ellie Black, her 2nd of the competition. She was outstanding on this day and put up a score that no one was able to touch. And there it is. Confirmation from the crowd. And a little bit of a smile. There's the wave. Ellie Black of Canada adding to her impressive total. That's 4 medals, 2 of them the shiniest of golds. Megan Skaggs, the United States, ends up in that 2nd spot, and Victoria Wu of Canada ends up in the 3rd position. On the other side, there it is, Manrique Larduet of Cuba, the gold medalist. And there's a guy who's just done ever so well throughout this entire competition. Silver in the all-around, bronze in the rings, and now a gold medal today, right on the top. So it is Cuba, United States, and Brazil on the podium. Guatemala just missing out. On down to the 8th of the 8 competing. Balance beam, there's your winner. Canada's Ellie Black. Packing up, moving on. Getting set for the floor final. Busy young lady. She'll have medals to pack. There's another for her, and the Canadian Victoria Wu in the 3rd spot. Julie Kim Cinemon just off of the podium.
We have more gymnastics coming
And
up
on down the line
bars.
to Rachel Gowie of the United States on a learning day for her.